a odd person also to give different ideas, a different outlook to the board. If a doctor is there in a automobile company board, it helps. They give a different perspective. Similarly, a person from armed forces, if he's there, he'll give a different perspective to the board, a different viewpoint. It will be a different thing. The dynamics will change. So I don't think, and there are instances where people from armed forces are there on many boards. I have come across, but I don't remember now right now.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. My question to Murli, sir.
Yeah, I'll take the second question. I think it's a very relevant question of risk, which is there. Risks are huge. Okay, first of all, I'll just take an extension to what Mr. Santoshji said. Also, the question of what is the type of company that you're joining. You have public sector companies, you have large private sector companies, you have SMBs, you have owner-driven companies, you have professionally driven companies. Now, all of these are categories of companies, and many times it also depends on from a company's perspective of how professional they are. Okay, let's be very clear. Realistically speaking, if you look, a lot of companies in India also have this challenge where, because of some of the challenges that we talked about in terms of how do we ensure that the quality of independent directors is good on the board, they tend to go by connects or networks or references. References either of existing board members or references of existing executives or KMPs, etc., which are there because they tend to think that this is a little bit more safer to get, and that means it's also a little bit more aligned to them. And being very open and honest in this forum here, the risk of people inducting independent directors into the board purely for compliance because they have to comply with SEBI or company law or RBI is also a risk which is there. Okay, that is from a perspective of, therefore, from a perspective that if you want to get into an independent director role, it's not that easy. Very few companies probably still go through a professional agency, okay, a hiring agency which basically hires and puts them onto the board, right? So I think that's one thing which is there. Apart from that, see, there are risks because, if you look at the company law and SEBI, it says it's unlimited liability. The question is, how do you protect yourself? And that is where independent directors need to be very careful. I think we have been reiterating it repeatedly here. Extremely important that you maintain your independence as per the board process. And there are two parts to it. One part is being very clearly, without any hesitation, and sometimes you have to keep your ego aside, you have to keep all your things aside and ask questions. There is no harm in asking questions. You don't have to think that, oh, is this a silly question? Okay, or anything of that sort. If you are not clear, ask. Okay, so that's extremely important from a perspective, so that otherwise, then as part of the board process, you're asking the right questions there. Okay? Number two is follow it up and ensure that it is limited. Because many times you may ask these questions, but when the company secretary then drafts a minute, it's basically mellowed down a lot. But tomorrow, if you have to protect yourselves from any risk, okay, because what can save you, should there be any liability that may come, is whether have you asked the right questions and is it attributable to a board process. So if you ask the right questions and if you ensure that those things are minuted, a lot of those risks are significantly mitigated. Okay? So that's on this risk part. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir.
I can also take your third question.
Yes.
Okay, on IT, I totally agree with you. And I think the last 2 years, especially with the spurt in AI, Gen AI, this has gone up significantly. There was an article probably about a month back or 3 weeks back, whereby Google, who had projected that they would be net zero by 2030, about a couple of years back, that entire plan or commitment is under threat. Primarily because now we are investing a lot in AI, which means we are using GPUs instead of CPUs, which are much more power hungry and guzzling and all those things. Now, obviously, from a technology perspective, what can be done? There are 3-4 things that are happening. Number one is from the OEM perspective, right? From the OEM perspective, obviously today they are doing a lot more things about liquid cooled data centers. A lot of those technology changes are happening, which can actually try and see how we can control this a little bit, right? Second is where we can drive value as independent directors. Are we asking the right questions around, are we optimally utilizing these computing resources so that you actually reduce the footprint that you generate on account of us? Simple thing is, are you doing green software? So are you writing software which is just guzzling computing resources, okay, and not efficiently written? Code is not efficiently written, which can actually reduce your power consumption while you still meet your business objectives. Now, these are things which are there. While a company goes and procures hardware, are you looking at elements of, no, it is like our bulbs that we buy. You have a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star bulb that we can buy, electrical equipment. So similarly, an equivalent of that is something that you as independent directors, you can push some strategy and say, we will buy greener hardware. Okay, I will go for a 5-star bulb rather than a 3-star bulb. Even it means it's a 15% premium that I pay. But the TCO, again, the short term versus the long term. Okay, focus. If you're able to drive some of these, so these are things that comes in as from an environment perspective, because what you have asked me is only the environment part of it. So I'm not getting into the social and governance part of ESG. But from an environment perspective, these are the things that we need to ask, and this is where we can drive organization. Because see, you can be, I would say diverted or, driven by short-term profits to reduce cost by compromising on some of these technology purchases that you do or any of those actions that you take from a technology perspective. Because again, see, there's always this pressure of, time to market. Oh, like, okay, just write something which works, functionality works, and we are in production. But that's not very well tested, that is not optimized. So across every area on the IT space, there is an opportunity, which is what we have to look at. Obviously, there are benefits of AI. So again, are you again using the right use case? Again, one of the biggest challenges in AI, which is using a lot of this computing power, GPUs, is most of the projects are not successful because the use case has not been rightly identified. So you're actually burning a lot of energy doing the wrong use cases. So are you doing the right due diligence in choosing the right use cases that you want to do as a company so that your overall contribution is significantly managed?
Thank you, sir.
I hope I've been able to give a perspective.
Thanks a lot, sir. I've just
We
started
have
about
Anipriya.
back. 1 month back, I just started learning about this ID. I'm improving my knowledge, trying to improve my knowledge, reading magazines, participating in such discussions. And it's my ambition to be one of the independent directors in another few years.
Sure,
Best
yeah,
wishes,
best
sir.
wishes. Yeah.
All the best, Colonel Vijay Kumar, for that. Yes, we have Anupriya. Anipriya, yes. You have raised the
Anipriya.
hand, no? Yeah. Yes. You are on mute.
Hello. Yes, sorry about that. My name is Hani Priya, and I have 25 years of experience in the IT industry. Currently working as the IT director for health and hygiene company covering Asia Pacific. And first of all, I want to thank Board Connect India as well as all the panelists for sharing such wonderful insights with all of us. Really, really engaging to learn about your experiences. So I have a couple of questions. So maybe I'll start with the first one, which is Mr. Santosh sir, you had mentioned that independent directors are selected from known circles, right? So as
Yeah.
aspiring, so as aspiring independent directors, people who are newly coming into the, getting certified, we find it difficult to actually get into that circle. So what is could you give us a little bit of guidance as to how we can increase our visibility and put our expertise in front of boards that we want to get onto?
Yes, thank you. See, actually, what happens initially, we don't have, if we don't have any circle, we have to develop a circle. We have to attend such, Board Connect, meetings like Board Connect or other. There are a lot of other events that are happening. We can means as a aspiring independent director, increase the circle, try to develop contacts, and you already must be having lot of contacts. You can develop contacts through them. So that is one way of improving the contacts. The other thing is using social media, being LinkedIn, being other develop your own blogs and things like that. So where you can suggest your viewpoints, your knowledge can be circulated. So those are the things where you get highlighted. So this is a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's a slow process. You have to have patience and do it. So that is what I feel. Mr. Murliji may have some other better ideas.
No, I absolutely
sir,
agree.
Murli sir, I
it is
have
not
one
easy.
more question for you in this. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And Anipriya, you
Yeah,
remain
I think
connected
maybe
with.
Adipriya, you have some more questions. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe
Yes.
go ahead,
Yes.
Adipriya.
Yeah. One more question. Specifically to Miss Rama Madam. So, we know that there is a dearth of women professionals on the boards, right? We keep hearing that, we need more women on the boards. And I have also heard from others that, oh, it's more of an old boys gang there, among the boards. So how have you been able to overcome that? And as well as, we also heard that people look at it as a